Redditors who have had to work with other people's computers, what is the most disturbing thing you have found? Half an inch of fluffy, sticky white gunk coating every inch of the interior. It was a podiatrist's office. It was next to a sort of booth where they would grind the calluses off of old people's feet. I didn't know that when I opened it up. I just knew it smelled faintly of burnt hair. MS Paint being used to design the company logo. Buddy wanted me convert a hard drive to external. Needed some copying and formatting. He had tons of pictures of Arctic sea life. It was like every walrus, seal, etc. on Google image search was saved to his drive. Pretty sure he did it to duck with me. Was it originally his C drive? I work as an accountant now. But in a former life I did a stint in tech support. I remember getting a report that a printer, a LaserJet 5P, was constantly jamming. I arrived and started checking all the usual spots for paper fragments to get stuck in the rollers. I flipped down the back cover. And chunk of fried chicken fell out. I still have no idea. I had a customer who wanted me to find pictures of her son's penis on the computer. Story. The son had gotten in legal trouble in the past for sending unsolicited pictures of his DCK to anyone and everyone. He was not allowed to use the internet on the computer. But as his parents were computer illiterate, they had no idea whether or not he was doing it again. And they wanted to find out. I ended up writing her instructions and showing her how to search for herself. As searching for pictures of her underage son's penis was in ethically murky waters. It was a good thing I did. 2. Because she ended up finding some. Read a story on here about a Geek Squad type guy who found a bunch of gory murder scene photos. Turned out the owner was a homicide detective. Turned out the owner was a homicide detective. Oh thank God. Edit. My dad has his own software company and does tech support for it and general computer repairs for anyone who drops by his office. Don't know what's the most disturbing thing he's come across. But I was present when a man dropped off his mother's laptop. Dad booted it up and immediately encountered a common problem. It was password protected. So he asks the son for the password. The son has to call his mom to get it. The mom tells the son who has to relay it to my dad. Suck big CK 2014. I was setting up my grandfather's printer and he warned me there's a lot of PRN on there, meaning the PC. Lol, I laughed and showed him how to delete his search history. Lol, I had a girl ask to use my computer and I was like hell no. There's so much PRN on this thing. She goes lol I don't care. Mofo. You just do that to people. Pictures of graveyards at night and a guy with a hood and a torch walking in them and digging. Was probably a solo black metal artist. Plans detailing a prospective campus shooting on the same computer as very sweet emails to his grandmother. He killed himself 2 months prior and I was recovering data for his family. I did not tell them. Guy was severely overweight. I found before and after shaving pics of his crotch and anus. I couldn't even look him in the eye when I handed his computer back to him. Well, you'd already peered into his brown eye. Damn. That's unfortunate. Did computer work for 8 years. Conservatively. I serviced around 1,000 machines a year. I never went digging through the computer or anything. But I stumbled upon CP 3 times. We had a contact at the local FBI and there was a quarantine procedure to preserve chain of custody and all that. However, if you really want to gross people out in the office, mention MR. Santa. This guy had a super slow PC. Which was one of the reasons he brought it in. From power on to being able to open the start menu was 45 minutes. The problem is, his desktop background was a full screen image of himself wearing a Santa hat. Only a Santa hat. He was fat and had hundreds of warts everywhere. Goddamn. Guy was having problems with his computer. So he brought it into us for a virus removal. Standard stuff. I set it up with a monitor, keyboard, etc. and left it to boot up. When I came back it had booted to desktop. The background was a picture of a guy, not the customer, fully nude. Spread eagle. My grandmother passed away recently, and my 87-year-old grandfather got a new girlfriend, 27 years younger, about 2 months later. I was setting up a printer for his laptop, and in his bookmarks he had a few links to Viagra distributors. So now I know that my grandfather gets laid far more often than I do, and needs medication to get it up, which makes sense I suppose. Old people duck all the time. Found a folder on my mom's computer titled "Sins of My Children Found Weird Poetry and chat logs of some guy offering to kill my wife and me." Holy shit, man. You can't just post that and not elaborate. Are relations okay with your mother now? My cousin worked for a summer doing IT stuff for her mom's company. She worked on a co-worker's laptop and discovered explicit emails indicating he was sleeping with her mom, who was still married to her dad. Found a load of PRN while working on a client's computer. Lots of browsers cuts and fragments of videos. Come to find out, he wasn't obsessed with PRN at all. He was an editor for browsers. Edit. Great. My top post is about PRN. Was asked on to double check a bunch of computers for pictures and identifying information before recycling the towers. Found a Win98 machine that hadn't seen the internet in a very long time. And on it was Napster. Just like we choose to remember it. Along with ICQ, Yahoo Messenger, and CompuServe. A photo album full of polar bears with Coke bottles photoshopped onto their hands. Like very badly done. Like 40 photos. A relative once asked me to help find some files on her very cluttered hard disk. When search failed me, I started browsing through folders. When I found it, pictures of pillows, every single type of pillow possible, with lots of different colors and decorations. There were literally thousands of pictures, including some with what looked like blood stains on them. I placed my hand on the user's mouse and my hand stuck due to lube on the mouse. Computer itself could hardly function due to PRN pop-ups. Yeah. Lube on the mouse. Yeah. My friend's mom. 7 antivirus installed. He has 6-inch tall of toolbars. Edit. I have to note that me and her son both has masters in computer engineering. He always tried to educate her but she would just get mad. He gave up. 52 GBs of PRN. 1 TB of gore. I never touched that computer again. 1 TB of Al Gore? I had no idea there was that much. I had a co-worker that wanted me to come by his house to fix his PC. This was like 15 years ago. He takes me up to his bedroom. Not too unusual. He was having internet connection issues. I was so focused on checking cabling to his modem, router, etc. under the desk that it took me a while to also notice next to the desk the camera on a tripod pointed at the bed. It all clicked when I finally got the interwebs working again. Launched his browser, and his homepage was some couples sharing kink website. Thought he was gonna be behind you jerking it, so you got off easy. But apparently he didn't. My grandma was having problems. Hey, she's old. Not dead. I work in a senior day center but I used to do software development, so every now and then one of the other staff will ask me to fix whatever computer problems they're having. One time one of the nursing assistants asked me to look at her laptop and had brought it in. I told her I'd look at it during my lunch break, different time from hers, and she said fine. So I opened the thing up in the break room only to be confronted with a bunch of windows with very explicit pictures of her and her boyfriend. The topmost picture being his BBC. Fortunately the only person in the room was across the table and couldn't see anything, but I noped the hell out of there. I gave her a little shitty for potentially getting me fired, but was kind of fun to have her squirm knowing what I'd seen. Not me, but a friend borrowed his lieutenant's computer while we were deployed to Iraq. Found a lot of child PRN on it. Pictures of his balls on soldiers while they were sleeping. You know, the usual. Yeah, he's a level 2 sex offender now. Edit. Great. My child PRN comment blows up. Thanks guys. This happened back in 08. My friend had to borrow the computer to pull some forms off of it or something. Can't remember exactly. He happened to stumble upon the treasure trove of nasty. Once that happened, he grabbed the nearest guide to him and went straight to the talk. Captain happened to be there. Went right inside and shut the door. From there MPs were called and he was taken into custody. They did the trial very quickly over there so word didn't spread around here. Had a few other friends escort him from jail to court then do suicide watch on him. Fun fact. He went on record stating he was a woman trapped in a man's body as if it was a solid defense. Why he had all of that so easily accessible I have no idea. I lent a friend a use of my laptop for a 3-hour game of D&D. He used a site called For Affinity to download lots of Nazi dog PRN. Drawings, Doberman and Nazi uniforms ducking each other. Neighbor asked to have their son's computer looked at because it kept blue screening. I agreed and braced myself for a bunch of PRN. The kid was 14. Nothing. A crapload of video games but no PRN. What kind of 14-year-old boy who has his own PC has no PRN? A kid who knows how to cover his tracks and rename his files? The kind of 14-year-old that knows it's possible to stream PRN and not have them saved permanently to your computer for people like you to find. A video of 3 guys helping a guitar player woman. They walked the guy out the door 15 minutes later. The duck? While I was in high school I also worked for the school district as a student computer tech. My English teacher said her friend's computer was acting up and they wanted some help. After some general tinkering with settings, dumping caches, defrogging disks, and uninstalling some bloatware I determined they could use a clean install of the OS. So I started to copy all their files to an external drive and was prepping a new partition to install the OS on. Well, you know those neat previews of the files you're transferring? I started seeing nothing but weird 80s clown PRN. Yeah. Did I mention I was doing this at my school too? Ended up just locking the computer in a closet for the remainder of the file transfers. Configured the computer with all their files. And pretended I didn't see a thing when I gave it back. I grew up in a smaller town. I helped start a computer repair place in my teens. A girl from school told her dad to bring his computer into our shop when it needed to be repaired. Upon doing tests and cleaning things up, I found child PRN. But it wasn't random child PRN. It was this guy's daughters. I could clearly recognize them. The FBI was in the same building as us, so I went upstairs at age 16 and told them what was going on. They arrested the guy the same day. Turns out he'd been abusing them since they were toddlers. I never said anything to the girl, but I knew she knew I put her dad in jail. She never said anything to me. I have no clue if she is relieved or hated me. I used to work at the Apple store and one of my co-workers was running a diagnostic on an iMac and found 100s of gigs worth of child PRN. The store contacted the police and a sting operation was set up. He was arrested at the store and later convicted. Co-worker needed to take some time off though, as he had 2 little kids and was pretty traumatized by what he saw. He had a folder on his computer entitled Barely Regal, devoted to racy photos of Sarah Ferguson, former Duchess of York. Was helping my mom with something on her phone once. Did the thing to open all the apps running in the background so I could close them. Saw a naked picture of her that she probably sent to her boyfriend. I'm ruined. I'm ruined. For every girl that has to follow up. A paid version of WinZip. I recycle work computers frequently for the next employee that they get assigned to. So much PRN. He had a folder of his obese girlfriend's nudes and SI folders with about 50 different objects inserted in various holes. She was fond of hairbrushes. And not the handle end. Toolbars on Internet Explorer, by the way. Fellow user. Have you heard about how cool Reddit admin USPES is? He is a true freedom fighter and has the dankest memes. Unlike our competitions at Funkajunk and 9gag. Of course he's nowhere near as cool as the Ask Reddit mods. We had a computer teacher that got arrested and thrown in jail for kiddie PRN. Ugly stuff. Since I knew things about computers, I was put in charge of the school's networking and stuff. Even though I had no real idea what I was doing. Thankfully, when I used his work computer, none of that shit was on it. What might have been worse? Dozens of letters written to students and parents, apologizing for inappropriate and or unwanted touching of students. Totally playing coy. Devious shit. I hate to think of what he got away with. Had to help my grandma with her computer. Saw nudes of my 28 years old aunt. So many questions. Don't want any answered. Guy brings his computer in. Cockroach scurried out of it and he squashes the bug. Later, we open up the laptop. It was full. How many cockroaches are in a house that the computer is infested? Used to remove viruses. Mainly ransomware. This one nice old lady's computer was full of choke PRN. Like tons of it. She had folders on the desktop with what I could only distinguish as different kinds of choke PRN. Because apparently there's different kinds of choke PRN. I always wanted to go back to her and find out how her husband died. Some people's keyboards are just nasty. According to my grandfather's search history, he likes fat old bitches. Truth be told. An L-gate with gummy bears. I had an odd one where the user had passed away and the family wanted me to unlock his laptop for them. Just take off the Windows password. No problem. What was interesting was this guy's history. He was about 65 IIC and a chronic masturbator. Literally every day around midnight he would visit PRN for about 30 minutes. And this showed up in his history for months and months. That is, until his passing away. That night he had stayed up viewing PRN until 4 AM. So a solid 4 hours of jerking it to some old school Thai bride stuff. I don't know whether he knew he was going to die, suicide, or the masturbating so relentlessly did actually kill him. As a couple hours later he was found deceased. Either way, I removed his internet history and never told them. Was trying to fix my friend's mom PCBC. She had downloaded some program loaded with spyware. My friend is not very tech savvy so he just sat outside in the living room while I worked on it in her room. Yes, as you can guess I found nudes in the download folder. It was full of his mom naked. But what worse was that there were photos of him giving her oral and vice versa. I dipped the duck out of their house and their lives. Edit. Okay everyone, he not a contortionist. But it's not hard for her to do a pop shot while he was down under. A copy of Grown Ups. I hate that goddamn movie. Brother-in-law's Ashley Madison account. Awkward. Spanish teacher in high school had a laptop that was suffering from malware. Had a bad habit of looking at customers' browser history and it turns out he was on sites featuring bestiality. The guy looked at so much hardcore PRN that we set up a deal where I would fix his computer during Spanish class and he would float me through the class with an A. I never told him that I knew about his weird fetish and he extended the deal when I took Spanish too. Honestly, I still thought he was a really cool, respectable guy. Even after the discovery. He watched bestiality PRN and gave a student an A for fixing his laptop. Riddled with viruses from said PRN. The word respectable doesn't exactly come to mind. Myself. No kidding. The guy had a folder full of pictures of me. And when I asked he said stop messing with my private life. I deleted it in front of him. We are no longer friends. Not exactly on topic. But my friend once gave me his old phone when he got a new one for Christmas. Except he did not reset it. Worked on a guy's computer. Had to move files to the new system. There was an unfathomable amount of mannequin PRN pictures and various pictures of multi-ethnic blow-up dolls. I have absolutely no idea of why there were so many pictures of mannequins and blow-up dolls. I knew his business was in buying and shipping stuff online. But I didn't know there was a significant market for SX mannequins. Dial-up internet in 2016. First off, I'm gay. And was helping a rather attractive, straight, colleague transfer files from an old PC onto a computer I built for him. Found video of him ducking some chick. Didn't really see much but heard them talking, and let's just say, after I found it, all I could say to him was, "Oh, I'll have what's having." He was sort of proud of it, I guess. As a mobile computer repair technician. Back in the late 90s when it actually paid more than mowing neighbors' lawns. An obese couple dropped off their computer as it was turning off after a few minutes. Upon opening, I immediately saw the problem. Somehow a wire from the fan got caught in its blades and wasn't able to cool. Took that out, then figured to ensure the problem was fixed. See if there were any movies and let it play all the way though. Well, instead ended up with photos of the woman inserting all kinds of random objects into her vagina and anus. One of them was the sticky and stained mouse I was using. When they came to pick up their computer, I gave the best poker face of my life, but in retrospect probably should have reset the recently viewed documents list on the start menu. That was a dead giveaway. Internet Explorer set as the main browser. The shop I worked in. We found a bunch of gay PRN. We took one of the pics of a bunch of naked Japanese men washing a car and put it as our boss's wallpaper. It was hilarious. We also found a shitload of PRN on a laptop that the guy tried to claim was his daughter's. Yeah. His 14 years old daughter. We were all. Seriously, dude? Edit. Not saying a 14-year-old girl having PRN is impossible. I'm saying her father blaming her to a bunch of guys who couldn't care less who it belongs to evoked a say what response. 14-year-old girls also enjoy PRN. A single image. A man with a shirt, no pants and a huge boner holding down a naked 3-4-year-old girl. It still makes me cry, and sadly he'll never get that out of my head. Ever. He's in jail now at least. The worst was at a cat lady's house. There was a dead cat literally right in front of the computer desk. It wasn't exactly recently deceased either. There was also another cat lady who had about 15 dogs in one half of the house and 30 cats in the other. She converted her bathtub to a litter box. I had to help do a discovery search on a computer for an attorney that worked in crimes against children. Saw one thumbnail and told them I was not going to be searching through the PC manually anymore. I'm really blown away by how many people here are admitting to searching through people's personal documents. Most malware removals do not require manually searching through the documents folder. And a simple scan will suffice. If it's right on the desktop, well, no one can blame you. While you guys are applauding those that turned in people with child PRN, and rightly so, keep in mind that they're probably reading through customers' saved tax returns, personal letters, nude of their spouse, etc. So make sure to always encrypt anything personal before you have someone work on your computer. Bible verses. A small business inside of a large business that wears geeky attire. Child PRN. It was reported and he was arrested. So a small business in a large business got busted for their large business in small business. Found that former contractor who thought he wiped his hard drive. Didn't wipe his hard drive. It's a good thing I didn't sell off his computer to get it off the books. There are bank statements, scanned photos of IDs, pictures, emails. I have it sitting in our office until I can pull the hard drive and destroy the data. Edit. I guess what is so disturbing is he was a techie. Really didn't want me to have his data. Had a whole week to turn in his computer. Wipe the main drive but didn't fully wipe the backups.